a movie called The Wrecking Crew, which tells the story of two estranged brothers who set out to avenge their father's brutal murder, only to uncover a deadly conspiracy involving the Yakuza, corrupt officials, and an illegal casino empire. Just how action-packed and adrenaline-filled is this story? Let's jump right into it. The story is set in Hawaii during the celebration of Lunar New Year. It opens with a private detective named Walter who is seen hurrying away from a crowded festival. Several mysterious men have been following him, though it's unclear who they are or what they want. Before they can catch up to him, Walter secretly slips a small package into a roadside mailbox. Just moments later, a blue van with no license plates deliberately rams into him, killing him instantly. Walter's eldest son, James, a highly respected Navy Special Operations commander, is devastated when he sees his father's lifeless body lying in the morgue. James also has a younger brother named Johnny, an Oklahoma police intelligence officer. Unlike his disciplined older brother, Johnny is reckless, constantly breaks protocol, and has a habit of getting himself into trouble. His careless behavior eventually pushes his girlfriend, Valentina, to break up with him because she simply had enough of his immature lifestyle. Later that afternoon, while Johnny is sitting alone in his living room feeling depressed, he receives a call from Layla, James' wife. She informs him that their father, Walter, was killed the previous night in a hit-and-run, and that the funeral will take place the following afternoon. No sooner does the call end than several Yakuza members suddenly appear behind Johnny and demand that he hand over the package Walter left behind. Since Johnny genuinely has no idea what they're talking about, he tells them the truth. Whatever was inside that package, whether it was money, classified information, or even just a cold rice cake, nobody knows. Johnny keeps insisting he has no clue where it is. Instead of leaving after Johnny politely asks them to get out, the gang members become even more aggressive. One of them proudly flashes his dragon tattoo, while another Yakuza quietly sneaks around to the front door without Johnny noticing. A brutal fight soon breaks out and spills into the living room. Johnny does his best to escort every one of them straight to the hospital. But things turn personal when one of the Yakuza tears apart a photograph of Johnny's late mother. That turns out to be a huge mistake. The next day, Walter's funeral is attended by several former gangster bosses who had once been his clients. Not long afterward, Johnny arrives with bruises all over his face after last night's fight with the Yakuza. Despite not seeing each other for a long time, James and Johnny don't look happy to reunite. The brothers have never gotten along because they argue about almost everything. Whether it's important life decisions or something as trivial as whether chicken porridge should be stirred before eating, they can never agree. During the ceremony, Governor Mahu, a close friend of Walter who has always been like an uncle to both brothers, delivers a heartfelt speech honoring Walter's service and contributions. Afterward, Walter's ashes are scattered into the ocean. Later, during lunch, Johnny criticizes the local police for still failing to identify the driver responsible for his father's hit-and-run death. Unlike James, who has accepted their father's death and is ready to move on, Johnny is convinced that Walter's death was no accident. He believes it was a carefully planned murder. The brothers continue arguing on the beach, where James grows frustrated with Johnny's wild theories. He's tired of Johnny causing trouble wherever he goes. Even so, Johnny decides he'll investigate the case on his own. The following morning, Johnny visits Walter's house, hoping to find clues. But someone has already ransacked the place. Without thinking twice, Johnny attacks the intruder, assuming he's a thief stealing Walter's belongings. It turns out the man is Piker, Walter's most trusted associate. Piker is an expert hacker and a master of disguise who had been secretly working with Walter for years. From now on, he'll be helping Johnny uncover the truth. While Piker nurses his injured nose, Johnny notices that one of Walter's surfboard fins has been installed backward. As he tries to fix it, a rolled-up blueprint suddenly falls out from inside the surfboard. Later that same day, James visits the local police station to ask whether they've identified the driver responsible for Walter's death. The officer explains that the crash happened in a blind spot with almost no surveillance coverage, making the investigation extremely difficult. So far, the only evidence they've recovered is Walter's wallet, which contains an old grocery receipt. On the back of the receipt are 12 seemingly random words, including bell, bridge, ocean, napkin, gasoline, and several others that make absolutely no sense. Johnny's theory starts bothering James. If his father really was murdered, then these strange words could actually be some kind of coded message. Determined to find more answers, James returns to the crash site and notices a nearby security camera pointing toward the road. He politely asks the shop owner for a copy of the CCTV footage, but the man refuses and aggressively throws him out. Meanwhile, James heads to Walter's apartment, where he finds Johnny and Piker examining the mysterious blueprint on Piker's laptop. After reviewing the surveillance footage they managed to obtain, the three of them discover the truth. The van didn't accidentally hit Walter. The driver deliberately swerved into him. Since the van had no license plate, Johnny asks Piker to pull records of every blue van registered on the island. He also requests information about Walter's last client before his death. Unfortunately, Walter never shared his client list with Piker, leaving him with very little to work with. On the drive home, Johnny tells James about the Yakuza members who attacked him a few days earlier. He explains that they were searching for a mysterious package Walter had hidden before his death. Before they can discuss it any further, a Yakuza vehicle suddenly slams into their car, sending it rolling across the road. Johnny manages to jump to safety, but James becomes trapped inside as the gang members open fire on the wreck. After narrowly surviving the ambush, the brothers rush to the police station and hand over the flash drive containing the surveillance footage of Walter's murder. Once the sergeant learns that the Yakuza are involved, he urges them to stop investigating immediately. He warns that continuing to dig into the case will only drag them into something far more dangerous than they can imagine. With help from their younger government-connected relative, the brothers finally identify the blueprint. It turns out to be the architectural plans for a luxury casino owned by a wealthy businessman named Marcus. Since gambling is illegal in Hawaii, everyone finds it strange that Marcus would hire a private detective like Walter. If Marcus wanted to protect an illegal casino, bribing corrupt officials would have made far more sense than hiring a detective. The next morning, Johnny receives a call from Piker. After convincing the sergeant to cooperate, Piker manages to obtain a list of every blue van registered on the island. One name immediately stands out: Hayashi Import. Johnny isn't sure whether it's a person's name or a company, so he asks Piker to dig deeper. Using one of Piker's government contacts, the three of them infiltrate Marcus's mansion disguised as catering staff. Marcus is hosting a charity fundraiser attended by several powerful business associates, giving James the perfect opportunity to get close to him. This is Marcus, the man they believe may be connected to Walter's murder. Before they even get the chance to speak with him, Johnny is distracted by a beautiful woman walking through the party. Completely forgetting about the mission, he follows her outside. The woman introduces herself as Monica, Marcus's wife. When Johnny mentions Walter's death, Monica is visibly shocked. She reveals that she actually hired Walter herself. She suspected Marcus was having an affair and paid Walter to secretly investigate her husband. Because the matter is extremely personal, Monica invites Johnny to meet her privately at her apartment later that day. Meanwhile, James accidentally discovers that Hayashi Import isn't a person at all. It's the name of a Japanese company. He also finds a business card belonging to a Yakuza leader named Nakamura. When James questions him about the blue van used in the hit and run, Nakamura doesn't even try to deny it. He openly admits that he ordered his men to kill Walter because the detective had started interfering in Marcus's business. Nakamura also reveals that he already knows why James and Johnny came there. They're looking for revenge. The brothers are immediately captured and taken before Marcus for questioning. James directly asks whether Marcus was involved in Walter's murder. Marcus calmly denies ordering Walter's death. However, he does admit one thing: he hired Walter to spy on Monica. That creates a major contradiction. Earlier, Monica claimed she hired Walter to investigate Marcus. Now Marcus insists he hired Walter to investigate Monica. One of them is clearly lying. Realizing they're getting nowhere, James decides there's no point staying any longer. He and Johnny leave, planning to continue the investigation from another angle. Later, Johnny remembers Monica's invitation and heads to her apartment. But when he arrives, he's met with a horrifying sight. Monica has fallen from the 30th floor and is lying dead outside the building. As the truth comes to light, it's revealed that Marcus murdered his own wife in a jealous rage. He believed Monica's meeting with Johnny wasn't about Walter's investigation at all. He was convinced she was having an affair. Furious over Monica's death, Johnny storms over to Marcus's mansion, determined to settle the score once and for all. But his reckless approach backfires. Before he can even reach Marcus, one of the guards takes him down with a stun gun. Instead of killing him, the guards hand Johnny over to the police on a simple burglary charge. Fortunately, Governor Mahu uses his influence to have Johnny released later that same day. After returning home, Johnny receives a call from Valentina. She tells him that a package from Walter has arrived at Johnny's official residence in Oklahoma. Inside is a USB flash drive. Suspecting it's the same package the Yakuza have been searching for all along, Johnny immediately asks Valentina to fly to Hawaii with it. When she arrives at the airport, Johnny greets her warmly and even tries to get back together with her. Valentina isn't interested. She makes it clear that she only came to deliver the USB, nothing more. On the drive back, Piker plugs the flash drive into his laptop, only to discover it's protected by a password requiring 12 random words. That's when James remembers the 12 strange words written on the back of Walter's grocery receipt. He enters them one by one. Just as the login process begins, motorcycle riding assassins suddenly attack. The ninjas, sent by Marcus, desperately try to seize the USB by forcing their way into the moving vehicle. After surviving that assault, the brothers are immediately targeted again. This time, Marcus sends a heavily armed team supported by a helicopter. A fierce gunfight erupts, but James and Johnny manage to shoot down every attacker and finally escape. With the danger temporarily over, they open the USB. Inside are financial records showing millions of dollars in secret payments. The sender is Marcus. The recipient is Governor Mahu. Everything suddenly makes sense. Marcus had been bribing Governor Mahu to protect his illegal casino operation and keep the authorities looking the other way. The USB also reveals another shocking truth. Without either Marcus or Monica knowing, Walter had secretly been working for both of them at the same time, investigating each spouse's suspected affair. During those investigations, Walter accidentally uncovered something far more dangerous than infidelity. He discovered the blueprint for Marcus's illegal casino, along with detailed records of the bribery scheme involving Marcus, Governor Mahu, and the Yakuza. Once Marcus realized Walter had copied all the evidence onto the USB, he ordered Walter's murder to keep the conspiracy hidden. Moments later, James notices that his wife, Layla, and their younger relative have suddenly disappeared. Then Marcus calls. He reveals that they've both been kidnapped. Marcus demands the USB in exchange for their lives. James knows Marcus can't be trusted. Even if they hand over the evidence, the hostages will almost certainly be killed anyway. So instead of negotiating, James and Johnny head to a hidden weapons cache, load up with heavy firepower, and prepare to assault Marcus's mansion that very night. After quietly eliminating the two guards at the front entrance, the brothers split up to search the estate faster. Johnny sneaks in through the back while James launches a direct assault from the front. But things immediately go wrong. James fires at one of the guards, only to realize the mansion's windows are completely bulletproof. His attack fails, instantly alerting everyone inside that they're under siege. One of the guards quickly thinks on his feet and opens the bulletproof window, giving James a clear shot. At the same time, Johnny creates a distraction by firing at several parked cars, drawing the remaining guards away from their positions. After cutting the mansion's power, Johnny forces Marcus to activate the backup generator. Marcus orders one of his assistants to check the problem, but when the assistant reaches the generator room, he discovers that Johnny has already cut every cable. Confused, he continues searching, only to find the rest of the security team lying dead. Then Johnny grabs the assistant's radio and sends Marcus a message loud and clear. Don't you ever mess with Walter's family again. Realizing nearly all of his men have been wiped out, Marcus panics. Rather than staying to fight, he chooses to run, leaving Nakamura behind to deal with the brothers. Back at the front of the mansion, James is confronted by dozens of heavily armed Yakuza. A brutal firefight erupts, but James tears through wave after wave of attackers with his military training. Even when one Yakuza sneaks up behind him and opens fire, James reacts instantly and takes him down before he can land another shot. With the Yakuza finally defeated, James and Johnny locate Layla and their younger relative, who have been held hostage inside the mansion. After safely rescuing them, James suddenly senses someone approaching from behind. It's Nakamura. Armed with a katana, the Yakuza boss launches a deadly attack. Despite Nakamura's impressive sword skills, he is no match for James, a highly trained Navy Special Operations commander. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight before James finally defeats him. While James continues searching the mansion for Marcus, Johnny spots him escaping toward the docks. Johnny draws his pistol, but Marcus refuses to run. Offended after Johnny calls him a coward, Marcus decides to settle things with his fists. Johnny assumes Marcus will be an easy opponent. He's wrong. Marcus proves to be an excellent fighter, pushing Johnny to his limits. Knowing he's running out of time, Marcus abandons any sense of honor and grabs a heavy steel hook, using it as a weapon to gain the upper hand. During the fight, Marcus finally confesses everything. He admits that he personally ordered the murders of both Walter and Monica. He also reveals that he bribed Governor Mahu to protect his illegal casino operation and ensure the business could continue without interference. Moments later, the confrontation ends in a massive explosion. Marcus is killed instantly. Johnny is thrown into the ocean, and for a terrifying moment, his fate is uncertain. Fortunately, James reaches him just in time and pulls him safely out of the water. With Marcus dead and the evidence secured, Governor Mahu is arrested on charges of money laundering and conspiracy to murder Walter. Although he tries to deny everything, the evidence is overwhelming. The police now have the financial records from the USB, along with testimony from James and the others. In the aftermath of everything they've endured, Valentina finally accepts Johnny for who he is and gives their relationship another chance. More importantly, James and Johnny's relationship is finally repaired. After years of constant arguments and clashing personalities, the two brothers learn to put their pride aside and stand together as family once again. And that's how the story comes to an end. The biggest takeaway from this film is that family relationships aren't always easy. True brotherhood is built through trust, sacrifice, and standing by each other when it matters most. No matter how far apart life pulls us, the bond of family is always worth fighting for.